The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists Dan Eve, the CryptoRaptor, Tone Vays from the Unconfiscatable Conference, and I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue 1, Bitcoin 3750. The price of Bitcoin fell sharply after failing to extend gains above $4,000. The downturn came after the Federal Reserve released the minutes of their most recent meeting, announcing that they plan to wait and see, perhaps leading to a pause in interest rates. U.S. stocks recovered slightly while Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even Ripple experienced significant losses, with Tron remaining steady. Dan Eve, your thoughts on the latest crypto downtrend. Is it really caused by the traditional markets?
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to say. I mean, you can retrospectively pick an article that's the most kind of that's got the most potential FUD and blame it on that. So whether it's the Federal Reserve, I mean, I personally think that based on the last couple of the last few years, I think since 2013, that there's a bit of a dump in January where people tend to sell off to pay their tax. So I think there could be a number of factors contributing, but it's really it's pretty difficult to say one particular thing that drives it.
I'd just like to ask everyone to like and share the show so that more people will find the show. Give us a thumbs up down below. Tone Vays.
Hey man, thanks for having me back on the show. It's been a while, and glad to see the intro hasn't changed. It's exactly as I remember it. So good job, Thomas. Got it down. Okay, so I don't think there is that big of a correlation. It's always, and this is coming from a crypto publication, which surprises me. Again, it's all of these titles. I'm seeing the same thing all over again. I think it's unrelated. I was expecting the price of Bitcoin to kind of go up in the beginning of this year. Not doing so well right now, but yeah, I find them unrelated. Bitcoin is just, it's too small. I don't think the big influences of the Fed have all that much to do with it.
And remember, it's always the same with a lot of these articles. They always try to link it to the news. This happened, so the market did that. This happened, so the market did that. And they just like to be right about something, since they were wrong about Bitcoin for so long.
Yeah. And the thing is, if Bitcoin and crypto had shot up on that day, that headline would have made so much more sense. If the federal government is more dovish and they're gonna not tighten and they're gonna print more money, it makes sense for Bitcoin to go up. So it's one of these things that no matter, as long as Bitcoin moved and something happened in traditional markets that day, you're gonna link the two, but like it would have made more sense to go the other direction.
It would have, but they're right either way. Exit question: the price of Bitcoin this time next week. Dan Eve on the hot seat.
Right. So what's it now? It's like 3.6, something like that. I'd like to, or 3.7. I'd like to think it's going up, but I kind of think it's going to be probably around 3.4.
Tone Vays.
I actually think it's going to be higher than right now because we just fell a lot over the last couple of days. But I don't know, I don't think it's going to be much higher, and I am thinking we're going lower. But next week, considering what just happened, higher than today.
And I'm going with a push. That's right, a push. The price remains the same. Issue 2, China regulates the blockchain. The Ethereum blockchain may have been used to bypass the Great Firewall of China, but China is not having it any longer. Putting tight rules and potential penalties on blockchain companies, the PRC requires them to register, not disseminate illegal information, and to pay fines ranging from $700 to $4,000 if caught. Tone Vays, will the regulation work? Will China put the rabbit back in the hat just like it did with the internet? Or will things be different this time?
I think it's nothing's going to change. I don't think it'll make any difference at all. Most crypto companies and most blockchain companies, they pretty much left China. We saw this, even with Binance and CZ. He used to be the CTO at OKCoin, and now he's got his company out of Malta, and they were out of another country. Like, I don't know if there's anything going on in China. I don't think this matters at all. And there's not that much crypto going on in China these days, other than like outright ICO scams. I'm sure are still going on very heavily. I mean, when was the last time we focused on a Chinese company? I mean, China's pretty much become almost irrelevant. Everyone used to be scared of all the mining that was going on in China, and all of that has gone away. I just don't think anything coming out of China is all that relevant these days.
There's always a chance for a Panda coin comeback. Dan Eve.
Well, that definitely brings back memories, because I did have some Panda coin at one stage. But I think, I think it's positive that any regulation, I think, is bad from a freedom perspective, but good from a government's kind of acknowledging it and not banning it. I mean, anything that's not banning from China is good.
And I think it's also good to see the people of the world realize that they have these tools available to them. When I saw the Cyprus spike of 2013, I don't think that the Cyprus people had access to Bitcoin ATMs. They didn't have the ability to move their money out like the French might with these tobacconists. Now, as we see into China, with the more they crack down on it, the more the people realize, hey, you can use this to get messages out. And hey, we could use this to maybe have an alternate communication network, things like this. It's just planting seeds. We're not there yet, so it can't be stopped by this. But it's another one of those where the Russian government, the Soviet Union, warns you about something, and then you learn about it, and then you get more and more into it because they warned you about it. Exit question, Tone Vays. It's a trick question. How many blockchains are there?
Oh, that is a trick question. I think there's probably about 10 blockchains that are viable at the moment, but in the future will only be one Bitcoin.
Oh, comes around at the end. Dan Eve.
Well, technically, there's like thousands that are called blockchains, but I don't know. It's the easiest answer is just there's one and only, and that's Bitcoin.
Pander to this audience. There can be only one. Did you know the World Crypto Network has a podcast on iTunes? That's right. You can listen to audio versions of the World Crypto Network on the World Crypto Network on iTunes. Google search today and give us a customer review. We've got 56 4-star reviews. Very nice. Issue 3, Yellow Vest Bank Run. Regulations be damned. French tobacconists are selling Bitcoin directly for cash in their shops. With cigarette sales on the decline and magazine sales also a relic of the past, the shops have no choice but to turn to Bitcoin and the 1.25% fee that goes directly to the shops. Meanwhile, the yellow vest revolution is raging in the street outside, threatening to withdraw all their funds to defund the banks. The question is, will they withdraw it into cryptocurrency? Dan Eve, I ask you, is mainstream Bitcoin adoption happening in France?
Well, I think that picture of the buy Bitcoin's done the rounds and certainly drawn attention. I'm not sure it's quite there with sort of full adoption, but it's good to see local businesses picking it up and providing a place where people can buy Bitcoin. I think that's awesome. On the bank run perspective, not sure whether it's such a good idea, and partly because the last time someone kind of suggested going and taking all of your money out of a bank was certainly the one I remember was Northern Rock when I had a mortgage with them, and they pretty much collapsed shortly after. So it's an interesting concept, kind of like the proof of keys, proof of cash, but I'm not sure if it's going to be positive for the economy.
And we can't have a bank run and not mention It's a Wonderful Life, where they famously had the bank run and Jimmy Stewart said, your money's not here. It's in George's house. It's in Fred's house. I don't have your money. But no, the bank run didn't work in the movie. It's not going to work in this. It always seems like such a risky and confusing idea. There's violence and protest in the street. So I'm going to go to the ATM and withdraw my life savings, then carry it back over the street to my apartment where I'm sure it will be safe, because there's violence and protest in the streets. If there was one time to actually leave your money in the bank, it might be during a crisis in the street. Tone Vays, your thoughts on France?
Yeah, no, those were very good points, and it's almost impossible to like engineer a bank run, right? I mean, this is something that happens when the entire population panics, not some guy with a megaphone trying to start that panic, right? It's like it has to be spread through rumors, and people have to like either smell or hear the smoke. You know, it's like when it's a theatrical performance, it's not going to work. It's like going into the movie theater, you know, dressed up with a megaphone and actually saying there is a fire, please run out. If it looks like a theatrical performance, it's not going to work. So I don't expect anything from it. Now, if it was to work, I find this very, very funny. I'm actually on my way to France, so let me be careful as to what I say. But as far as I understand, these protests are taking place over the weekend because these people have jobs. These jobs pay them money. So they actually want to engineer a bank run, and then they can protest every day of the week because then their jobs will no longer be able to pay them any money and they will be pretty much homeless. So a bank run is not something that you want. It's something you want to avoid. It's also something you want to be ready for, and you should already have some Bitcoin to begin with. However, if there is some kind of a bank run in France, that would be beautiful for Bitcoin because all of the neighboring countries of France will start to take Bitcoin more seriously. And since they're not in the middle of a bank run, they will have the money to go and convert that money into some Bitcoin.
I definitely agree. We're not there yet. I think this article is just attempting to plant seeds. Haha, Russia Today joke. And it's also planting seeds. Like I said on the last response, people are realizing they do have an option. Withdrawing their money from the bank is not enough. Withdrawing their money into Bitcoin, that would be the real revolutionary move. But I don't think they're ready for it yet. It's not quite time, as they said in Die Hard 4, for a fire sale, when, of course, everything must go. Moving on to the exit question. Will the bank run be successful? Dan Eve.
Well, first of all, if it goes ahead and if it's going to be successful, and it depends what success is. I mean, if success is bringing down a bank, then it depends what your goal is. I think the overall goal is to, well, I don't know. I haven't actually read much but the overall goal is, but obviously it's to do some potential damage and kind of show that the people are out there and the people are protesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think it could have wider implications. We could see a domino effect of other banks falling if that bank falls. So I'm keeping an eye on it. That's for sure.
I think it'll be successful as long as at least one ATM runs out of money and one person is inconvenienced attempting to buy cigarettes. Tone Vays, will it be successful?
Yeah, it'll be very similar to what we experienced in crypto with proof of keys. I'm sure there'll be like one or two banks where they'll see some people with yellow vests come in to withdraw some money, and they're gonna be like, yeah, no, we can't give you that much today. We can't give you your 3,000 euros. We can only give you one, and they're gonna go to Twitter or the French equivalent of Twitter or whatever it is, and they'll be like, see,
Le
they're
Twitter.
stopping us. What do they have?
Le Twitter.
Yeah. And I'm sure there'll be like one or two minor incidents that are totally irrelevant in the long term, and they will claim that as success.
Yes, it's always a victory just as long as something happens. Moving on to issue 4, Russia. A Russian economist claims that Russia plans to ditch the dollar and begin transferring their massive reserves of $470 billion directly into Bitcoin, starting with $10 billion. Will it happen? Will Russia ditch the dollar for Bitcoin? And more importantly, should it happen? Tone Vays.
Oh man, I don't think so, but it's good that these articles are coming out. The big question is, are these articles in the mainstream media or are these articles only in the crypto space, right? So if you start seeing these articles in the general economic media, and if this is making it to Bloomberg, I wouldn't even call CNBC all that relevant. If it's on Bloomberg, then yeah, this just the concept of it is very, very good. It will make other central bankers, at least consider something like this or laugh at Russia for doing it. And if you laugh enough at Russia for doing it, they might just do something stupid and say, hey, we're going to do it, which might turn out to be a very, very good decision. So I'm waiting for a first country like in the top 20, 25 by GDP in the world to actually do something like this. 10 billion is a little too much. I don't know where the hell they're going to get that much Bitcoin right now. Not exactly easy to source. But throwing, 50, $100 million at Bitcoin and putting it towards reserves, they may laugh at you, but you're pretty close to the low price of Bitcoin. And this can certainly pay off. It's going to be very interesting how they do security on that Bitcoin. And I am waiting for something like this. It is a professor that's talking about this. I don't know how much influence this professor has over actual government economic regulation. But the fact that it's being talked about is a good thing, interesting. We'll see where it goes.
I do think it's very unlikely. I think we're in a unique situation where the interests of Russia and the interests of cryptocurrency are aligned. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Russia wants to put this story out. The crypto people want to put this story out. It gets repeated throughout the crypto media, and then we take it seriously because it was in Name That Crypto website. But really, they're all quoting back to this original Russia Today type article. Dan, Eve, your thoughts on Russia? Are they going to be buying Bitcoin soon?
Well, I mean, it's just one guy who's a lecturer. Like you said, I'm not sure what his kind of swing is in the sort of government and what he knows. But I think from a general perspective, obviously America benefits a lot from the dollar being a kind of index, and also by losing that, there could be a risk that if they see these other countries that are shifting to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, then it kind of loses a bit of grip on the current situation. But at the same time, it's good when a country, or if a country was to buy a load of Bitcoin, I think it would actually cause a bit of a domino effect, because other countries will think, well, we can't miss out. So yeah, I think it kind of depends on what we hear from the Russian media after this, and if anyone backs up his claim. But as it stands by itself, I wouldn't take it so seriously.
Russia buying Bitcoin is nothing because Ukraine is buying Litecoin, some people say. Exit question: which country will adopt Bitcoin as their national currency first? Who will be last? Tone Vays.
Oh boy, as their national currency? Wow. No one anytime soon. I can name a couple of countries that will be open to having Bitcoin be used. I mean, we already see Japan fully open to having Bitcoin be used. Is it going to replace the Japanese yen? I don't think so. I think Singapore and Hong Kong might be very open to it. A country like Panama that doesn't actually have their own national currency could be pretty open to it. In the future, if the US dollar starts to struggle and starts to have some crazy volatility, I can see a country like Panama actually going to Bitcoin, because otherwise they're stuck with the US dollar, which they no longer like. People in Venezuela can start using it, but the country's elites aren't going to be interested. So those are pretty much my candidates. I don't think it'll be Hong Kong because China has too much influence there now. And maybe a tiny country like Liechtenstein might be interested. And that's about it. Maybe Estonia, but they're on the euro now, so the euro would have to break up. So there's all these scenarios, but let's hope something like this happens in 2030.
Dan, Eve, same question. Who will be first? Who will be last?
Well, I was going to say Malta, but Tone raised a good point about the link to the euro. So I can kind of see them being open to it, but maybe not it taking over as the national currency. And again, I agree with Tone. I don't think that any country is going to do it for a while. I mean, maybe is it Venezuela have got the petrodollar? They might, having experimented with the petrodollar, move on to
petrol. Just the petrol.
Petro. Is it petro? Venezuela?
The ICO shitcoin. That's the petrol.
Oh, right. So they're not actually using it.
Oh no, they're actually using it. It's just petrodollar is more of like an oil-linked dollar.
Right. Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
economic term.
Yeah.
Petro, the currency, they're forcing their people to take. They're converting their retirement accounts over into petro. Things like that are happening. So it's very real. But, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I
Right.
don't.
Petro isn't actually like backed by anything, right? Nor is it on a blockchain. The Petro is just another name for the Venezuelan bolivar.
It's great. It's like the Holy Roman Empire. It's not holy. It's not Roman. It's not an empire. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I was just going to say, apart from Venezuela, maybe a small kind of country like Liechtenstein, maybe even a bigger country sees that it's an economic threat if another larger economy starts buying in first, and that would, I think that's just as likely as a possibility as like a smaller country as well, because it will be a case of like the latest arms race will be Bitcoin.
I agree with the group. I think Malta is a good pick, but the euro, if Tone's right, the euro does break up or the Brexit situation continues fracturing, we could see Malta. Liechtenstein, small country, good idea. Panama doesn't have an official currency. Interesting idea, get the future. But the real key, the one that will be last, the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom will be the last to switch to Bitcoin. Moving on to issue 5, 9/11 insurance job. A hacker group is demanding Bitcoin, claiming to have secret 9/11 information stolen from an insurance company. The group attempted to publish the information on Steemit, but was quickly banned. However, the information remains on Steemit's public blockchain. Have we finally found a use for Steemit? Is this the beginning of a trend? Dan Eve. Dan's muted, but then we'll go to Tone, who's just chomping at the bit to talk about Steemit.
Well, I think the thing with Steam is that didn't they ban the article, or sorry, they shut it down. So you would have thought, being crypto related, it's going to be censorship resistant, but I don't think that ban's positive. It doesn't give a good image, especially in the crypto community where people regard immutability and censorship so highly. But I'd be interested to see what the papers are and if they have anything, there's anything interesting in it. But there's been a lot of kind of throughout the years since 9/11, a lot of claims of these releases, and really there's not been any substantial evidence. So see how that progresses.
Instead of censorship resistant, Steemit turned out to be censorship friendly. Tone Vays.
Yeah, that's really funny actually, because I don't know, as far back as 2 years ago, I was talking about how Steemit is the most censored website on all of the internet, because you literally have like two people deciding what will and won't go on that site. There's way more censorship going on Steemit than on Google or Twitter or anything else. And who exactly are they extorting here? Like, who do they expect to pay Bitcoin for this information? The U.S. government?
Well,
Like,
it turned out to be pretty great. They're taking money on both sides. If you pay them, they'll release it. If you pay them more, they'll keep it quiet. And side release it has won by a far margin.
and now they can't release it. I mean, why is it so hard to release? I think WikiLeaks is still around. Just publish the damn document on your own server and outside the country, and you're done. I mean, hell, shoot a video showing the document, and it will be all over the place. Like, I can't believe in this day and age you have a problem releasing information to the world, right? It's probably the information isn't very relevant, and I don't think anyone really cares.
It's probably also the size of the information. It's probably unkept, not looked through. It's not like it's one document that's a smoking gun.
Yeah, they should probably do a little more work and maybe release a part of that document by blanking out certain areas that people may be interested in. But I don't know. It seems like it doesn't smell right. It smells like an ICO.
It's the 9/11 Truth ICO, finally. Exit question. Which is more responsible for the coming open data revolution? Bitcoin and the blockchain, or the ability for information to be easily copied and published anonymously? Dan Eve.
Well, I mean, I think both are pretty good avenues. The danger of Bitcoin being that as much as censorship is a bad thing and immutability is great, having things that are maybe what are currently illegal on the blockchain is Bitcoin's blockchain is a bad thing. And there was all that fuss a while back about something about, dirty, child porn or something on the Bitcoin blockchain. Everyone was, waving their hands in the air. So the more illegal things that are integrated or permanently available on the Bitcoin blockchain, I think that's more detrimental.
Tone, Vays.
I mean, to me, these two topics will always be linked at the hip because I only heard about Bitcoin because of WikiLeaks donations. And WikiLeaks was around before Bitcoin, and they didn't seem to have a problem releasing information that governments didn't want released. And they were able to do this without a blockchain. So I think Bitcoin will go a long way in helping to fund these operations, but it still goes back to the internet itself and the decentralized nature of our internet and the ability to release this information without a blockchain. That's way more critical. And Bitcoin and the blockchain is there to help them financially to make sure they get it done.
And now moving on to predictions or story of the week. Dan Eve, the CryptoRaptor, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
A prediction for, as in something that's crypto related, obviously. Right.
Or
okay.
Baseball, soccer scores. We'll take anything.
Okay. So, I don't know. That's on the spot. My prediction would be that, unfortunately, I do think although I said Bitcoin's going to go slightly lower next week, I think there's going to be a reasonable dump. I just got a bad feeling about it. Wouldn't be able to give a price, but I just have a bad feeling. So I think there's going to be a minor dump.
We also want to take this chance to highlight Dan's fundraiser right here. We're trying to raise money to get Dan to fly out to Las Vegas so he can go to Tone Vays' Unconfiscatable conference in Las Vegas right here. You can go ahead and donate Bitcoin right now. You can pause the video, get your wallet, donate 10 or 20 bucks, or if you're doing really well, donate around, I don't know, $314. That sounds like pie. But if you donate pie right now, you'd buy the entire fundraiser. So you could do it. You buy the entire fundraiser. We don't have to fundraise anymore. Dan gets to go to Las Vegas. We're going to make lots of fun videos in Las Vegas with Dan and Mad Bitcoins at the Tone Vays conference. So check it out. You can donate right now. And this is, again, Tallycoin fundraiser. Bring your own Bitcoin address and a goal, something you want to raise money for. Create your own fundraiser at tallyco.in. It's free, and they can't take any of your money because it's Bitcoin.
Yeah, and those of you that aren't familiar with Dan the CryptoRaptor's work, check him out on YouTube. See some of the he's up there with CoinDaddy, who I'm also trying to get over to Unconfiscatable. Maybe you guys can have your little rap battle on stage, CoinDaddy and CryptoRaptor, with some of your awesome songs that you've been putting out for us. So that's great. Thanks for those, by the way. They're awesome. Those that haven't seen them, I got to retweet a couple of your songs. So we'll put together a tweet for you, man.
Awesome. Cheers, dude. Yeah, much appreciated.
That sounds great. And Tone, do you have a story of the week? Go ahead.
I guess for me, the story of the week is this upcoming conference. That's basically my story of the week. It's 2 weeks away, but it is we'll have one more weekend. We have this weekend. I'll be in Phoenix. And the weekend after, that's it. That's the last weekend before the conference. That's pretty much my story of the week. My prediction will be the price of Bitcoin in a minute. But those that are interested in coming out to Vegas, we have on the 25th, Friday the 25th, we have the Crypto Celebrity Poker Game. And that's going to be a lot of fun. There's a couple of other people. We just didn't have time to make little cards of them. The poker tournament is almost sold out. We're almost at 90 people paid for a seat out of 100. Once 100 people have paid, that is it. We only have 10 tables fitting 10 people. And that Friday, that's the Friday night. And Saturday, we have the all-day conference with some awesome speakers, most of whom are very pro-Bitcoin. And there you go. If you scroll a little bit down, you see those speaker cards. We're going to release the agenda probably this weekend. Still working on that. It will be a lot of fun. So if you are in Vegas or thinking of coming down, it'll be great.
Very, very cool. Thanks so much, Tone. We'll see you at the conference. I'll be here in Vegas. And if you guys donate, CryptoRaptor will join us as well. So go ahead and pause the video. You can donate right now. Scan that QR code on the screen. It works even with the graphic in the middle. Isn't that amazing? Great work by DJ Booth with the old Tallycoin right there. So thanks so much for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. We do these kind of shows every day, Monday through Friday. All kinds of shows. Oh, just got a donation, 0.00274. And remember, you can also donate with the Lightning Network. We've got Lightning Network on Tallycoin as well. So until next time, bye-bye.